Hello. Welcome to the pilot episode of the Get You Some podcast. I'm your host, Zechs. If you don't already know me, I am the founder of Team Epyon, an organization currently comprised of 5 teams and divisions that compete in powerlifting, bodybuilding, and martial arts. That's not good for a first episode. I have personally put together and trained powerlifting teams in Sacramento, Torrance, and San Diego, California. I've also taught people in Texas and Arizona. Before that, I managed and taught Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu out of my Master's 2 academies in Torrance and Culver City. I received my purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under John Machado in 2014. As of 2020, Team Epyon has been on hiatus. COVID! And we are rebuilding it from the ground up. What I hope to accomplish with this channel is to help shed some light on some myths and practices regarding your training. I have spent over 17 years putting together my knowledge and training. I want to reach as many people as I possibly can and help answer some of your questions. I won't hesitate to tell you if I don't have the answer to your questions, but I will use every resource available to me to help you find it. That being said, this is more than just some channel for free lifting advice. You may have noticed that we have chronicled the many stages and locations that built Team Epyon into what it is today. I make it a point to pay homage to those who came before us. Lightweight! And acknowledge the many people that I have had the honor and pleasure of training, and some of the assholes that kind of annoy the shit out of me along the way. But that's not the only thing I want for this channel. I want to shine a spotlight on something that has been neglected, especially in my industry, for far too long, and that's the mental health that is so easily put aside in favor of the physical. Now, I've studied psychology and human behavior for quite a few years now. 11 years in fucking community college. Go figure. And I'll try not to delve too much into it, but here goes. I grew up with a rather diverse set of challenges. As a young foreigner growing up in the middle of Butchug, Kansas, I experienced racism and bullying firsthand. I moved schools more often than I could count. Hell, I spent my senior year in a completely different fucking school. Imagine that. 2 days before my 15th birthday, my abusive father went to prison. 4 years later, my mother died of cancer. I have worked a myriad of jobs to get by. And I mean, I worked at Blockbuster, I worked at Big Lots, I worked at Food for Less. You name it, I've done that. I was the poster child for toxic masculinity. I believe that the only way for me to get through any of this was to just shove those feelings down and ignore what I acknowledged as only weakness. And I refused to ever let myself really heal from the trauma. And I obviously did that as long as I possibly could until I couldn't. And one day I reached the precipice of my mental well-being, and I realized that something had to give. So when I realized I couldn't deny it, I knew I had to do something. So one day, in one of these many odd jobs, I found myself working as a med tech in an assisted living facility in Arizona. And one of the nice, kind old men that I looked after was this 90-year-old retired therapist who spent his life counseling and teaching children of trauma. I started off stitching up his, or not stitching, I'm not a doctor. I would dress his wounds and, put lotion on his stitchings, just made sure that he was healing, and helping him take his medications, and you get to know people when you take care of them. And somewhere along the line, I found myself visiting him week after week, and the things that he taught me in such a short amount of time brought an enlightenment to my life that I honestly would not have made it any further without. He taught me that learning to nurture and provide what I was denied my entire life was quite literally the only way that I could survive and move forward. And therein lies the dilemma. How do you receive that validation and love from the people that were tasked with giving it if they were the ones responsible for the trauma in the first place? That's not a rhetorical question. And I know I'm not the only person who's had to ask. But I will tell you, I have an answer. You see, with all this sad and negative shit, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm unhappy. I did what only survivors really know how to do. I took what was missing and I pieced it together from all the available resources that I did have. So this isn't a sob story. I have support. I have friends that have proven to me that just because you're not blood doesn't mean you don't share a bond. The family you make is so much more important than the family you come from. I've made friends with people in the least likely circumstances, and I would not have made it here today without them. Sadly, not all of them are here, but their lessons are. So that's why I'm here. I want to make sense of my trauma. I want to give meaning to my suffering. I want to give the things I was lucky to have and pass them on to you. I don't promise that I can solve your problems, but I do want to support you. So send us an email, teamepyon@gmail.com, or send us a DM on our Instagram, teamepyon.official. Ask me anything at all. Sometimes the most important thing that you really need is someone who will listen. And like Ace Hood would say, closed mouths don't get fed on this boulevard. If you're so goddamn sad that you can't even get out of bed, I'm not gonna come to your house and pull you out. But I can tell you how I did it. And I can't lift your weights and run your laps for you. But I can tell you how I do it. And I'll cheer you along. Anyhow, I think I'm past my time limit already. My name is Zechs. You want happiness? You better go out there and get you some. Oh, and one more thing. Along with my 20-minute segments, I'm also going to include a little piece where you guys send me emails and messages and ask me about my music. I'm proud to say I have a pretty prolific music collection, and I make playlists for literally everything I do. So, you want music for lifting, music for fighting, music for any kind of situation, include that in your email, and I may put you in one of the episodes and share some of the music that I do and put for your request. Alright? Cool. Alright, you see that like button, that subscribe button that people are always begging you to press? You don't have to, but it would certainly help us if you did. And yeah, go out there and get you some. Get you some.